children. It's Mrs. Lee here. It's a bit chilly in the hall today. Remember to make sure you're wearing layers so you're keeping nice and warm because the windows are open. Anyway, it's assembly number 1 and it's the week beginning the 24th of January. Yeah. Silent cheer because we're getting closer and closer to spring. Right, let's have a look at our routine. Can you see it? I can see that it says, what's the time, Mr. Wolf? And on the clock, the long hand, the minute hand is on the 9. And I know anybody who is in class 5 or class 6 knows this one because we were all working on this in your routine. That's right. If the long hand, the minute hand is on the 9, it means 1:45. Then you look to the short hand, that's the hour hand, and it is nearly on the 11. So altogether that's right, 11:15. Now, we also have our language of the month. We're still in January, but not for long. We've got our language of the month being Lithuanian. Now, hopefully you've been learning to say labas. Even in the preschool, the children have been saying labas to each other. That's super. If you would like to speak or read Lithuanian, you know that in our foyer, we've got our language of the month display. There's loads and loads of books there and pictures for you to look at. Come down at lunchtime and you can have a sneaky peek. Now, what else? Yes, our Makaton sign. Now, Mrs. Lee is not being lazy. Mrs. Lee would like us to carry on with the Makaton sign of last week, which is, I wonder if any of you can remember. Shall I show you? That's right. It's to be friends. It's really important to be friendly. Can you show me? Hold your hands together. Friends. Friendly. Now, in the research centre, Mrs. Lee has put lots and lots of books up and some pictures of words that I think are about being a good friend. Wonder if I've got them all there, though. Should we go and have a look? 3, 2, 1. Are you a good friend? Have a look at the words that Mrs. Lee has displayed. Are you like those words? Reliable, trusting, kind, friendly, helpful, honest. Maybe you could think of some other words that describe how you are a good friend. Some of these books might help you. All these books Mrs. Lee has put on a display that you can come and read if you go and get yourself a reading stick from outside my office. Will help you to think about how to be a good friend. And Mrs. Lee is going to choose this one, Each Kindness by Jaqueline Woodson, to read to you. I'll see you in 3, 2, 1. Did you see? Now, there's plenty of space for you to write your word that describes what being a good friend is like. And I will put it on our display. Oh, I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to people using their ready to learn time or their cool time to use the phonics mats in their classrooms to sound out the word with their blending arm, blend it all back together for me and write it down. You can use the phonics mats to help you, can't you? Oh, great. I'm looking forward to that. You can look at those books, can't you? In fact, I'm going to show you a few places where you can come and read. Now, it is about reading. It's not about being silly. So if you would like to, at lunchtime, come and read in any of these places. Ready? You need to come and get a reading stick. All right, now there are 5 of them. And the reason being is we don't want everybody in school at lunchtime. You really need to be outside running around, getting lots of fresh air. But sometimes it's nice just 5 or 10 minutes to have a little bit of reading time. Okay, so come down and get a stick, have a little read, and then put the stick back and then go back out to play. Now, Mrs. Lee loves to read, doesn't she? I have chosen one of the books from my display that's in the research centre about being a good friend. And I have read this book before on another video. I think it's always good to go back to books and reread them. Sometimes you might have missed something in the book, or sometimes it's just lovely to hear the same story again. In fact, at school, we ask you to read your books more than once, so you become, what's that word? We had it in one of our Hartford heroes the other day. Do you remember about the people who have been aiming high? That's right, fluent. The more you read the same book, you become fluent in it. That means that you read without tripping over all those words. You start to get to know the words in the story, you see the punctuation. Right. Let's see if Mrs. Lee can read this book fluently. It's called Each Kindness, and it's written by an American lady called Jaqueline Woodson. All right. Now, spoiler alert, okay? Some of the things in this book are a little bit sad, okay? So it's about being like reflective wrecks as we read this story and thinking, what sort of friend could I be? Here we go. That winter, snow fell on everything, turning the world a brilliant white. Oh gosh, how lucky are they to have snow? One morning we settled into our seats and our classroom door opened and the head teacher came in and she had a girl with her and she said to us, "This is Maya." Maya looked down at the floor and I heard her whisper, "Hello." We all stared at her. Her coat was open and her clothes beneath it looked a bit old and ragged. Her shoes were spring shoes, not ones ready for the snow. They had one strap that was broken. Our teacher, Miss Albert, said, "Say good morning to our new friend." But most of us were silent. The only seat that was empty was next to me. That's where our teacher put Maya. And on that first day, Maya turned to me and she smiled, but I didn't smile back. I moved my chair and myself and my books just a little bit away from her. And when she looked my way, I turned and looked out of the window the other way and stared at the snow. And every day after that, when Maya came into the classroom, I didn't look at her and I never smiled back. Now, my best friends that year were Kendra and Sophie. And at lunchtime, we walked around the school playground, our fingers laced together, whispering secrets into each other's ears. One day, when we were near the slide, Maya came over to us, and she held her hand out to show us some tiny jacks and a red ball that she'd gotten for her birthday. If you can see that, it's a game. Now, some of your grown-ups might have played that game when they were little. "It's high bouncer," she said. But none of us wanted to play it. So Maya played the game all by herself. That afternoon, when we got back into the classroom, Maya whispered to me, "I bet you can't guess who the new Jack's Champion of the World is." And behind me, Andrew whispered, "Chloe's got a new friend, Chloe's got a new friend." I said, "She's not my friend." Well, the weeks passed, and every day we whispered about Maya. We laughed at her clothes and her shoes and the strange food that she brought in her lunchbox. And some days Maya held out her hands to show us what she'd brought to school: a deck of cards, some pick-up sticks, a small tattered doll. And whenever she asked us to play, we all said no. The days grew warmer and the pond thawed and the grass began growing where the snow had once been. One day Maya came to school wearing a really pretty dress and lovely fancy shoes, but the shoes and the dress looked more like they belonged to another girl before Maya. "I have a new name for her," Kendra whispered. "Never knew. Everything she has comes from a charity shop." And we all laughed. Maya stood by the fence. She was holding a skipping rope, but did not come over to ask us if we wanted to play. After a while, she folded it double, rolled the ends around her hands and started to skip on her own. She just kept skipping and skipping and skipping. The next day, Maya's seat was empty. In class that morning, we were talking about kindness. Our teacher brought in a big bowl into class and she filled it with water. And we all gathered round her desk and we watched her drop a stone into it. Tiny waves rippled away from the stone. Now that's what kindness does, our teacher said. Every little thing we do goes out like a ripple into the world. Then Miss Albert let us each drop a stone in as we told her what kind things we had done. Now Joseph, he'd held the door for his grandmother, and Kendra had helped change her brother's nappy, and even old Andrew had done something. I carried a teacher's books down a corridor, he said. And Miss Albert said it was true. I stood there holding my rock in my hand. Even small things count, said Miss Albert. But I couldn't think of anything that I had done. So I passed the stone on. She's honest, isn't she? Well, Maya didn't come back to school that day, nor the next. Every morning I walked to school slowly, hoping that this would be the day that Maya came back. And when she looked at me, I was going to smile. I promised myself I was going to smile at her. Each kindness, Mrs. Albert had said, makes a whole world a little bit better. But Maya's seat remained empty. And one day, Miss Albert announced to the class that Maya wouldn't be coming back. Her family has to move away, she said. And then she told us to take out our notebooks because it was time to do phonics. That afternoon I walked home, and when I reached the pond, my throat filled with all the things that I wished that I had said to Maya, each kindness that I had never shown. I threw small stones into the river over and over, watching the way the water rippled out and away. And like each kindness done and not done, and like every girl somewhere holding a small gift out to someone, and that someone turning away from it. I watched the water ripple and the sun set through the maple trees, and the chance of a kindness with Maya became more and more forever gone. Are you like Chloe? I really hope not. I hope that you're more like Maya in our story. I hope that you are kind. All right? Think about all the things that you can do to be kind. Now, the reason I'm talking to you about this, you might have seen this poster around school, especially if you are in year 1 and year 2, you would have seen it a lot. And I really want to think about mutual respect. Now, you might be thinking, Mrs. Lee, what does that mean? They're a hard word. No, they're not. It means that even though you and I are different, that we can still be friendly to each other. It doesn't matter if we are different and like different things. We should be friendly in our school, and I hope that everyone is like that. If you look around your classroom now, you'll see no one, unless you're a twin, who looks like you. And there's probably some people that like the same things as you, and there's some people that don't like the same things as you. Now, what I really want you to do is to be respectful. Oh, now that's a word. Can you say that for me? Respectful. I don't want you to be like Chloe in our story, who wasn't kind. I want you to think about that stone as it dropped into the water and how it rippled. And every time you do something kind, you're making Hertford Infant School be a better place, a happier place. So something as simple as smiling. Show me your gnashers now. Come on. That's right, a smile. A smile at somebody doesn't cost anything. And it makes Hertford Infant School a better place. Saying hello in the morning. So when Mrs. Lee says good morning, rather than walking past me with your mouth on looking the other way, maybe you could open your mouth, smile, and say, good morning, Mrs. Lee. Right, we're going to finish there with our school prayer. Listen to the words as we say them, and everybody needs to say them together. Help me to do the things I should, to be to others kind and good, in all my work and all my play, to grow more loving every day. Amen. Right, Mrs. Lee will put this book back. Remember, in our school there are so many places for you to go and read, or maybe to use your phonics. And I'm looking forward to seeing people in the school very quietly, making friends.